The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
I was going to hum the tune to Godzilla, but I think that might be copyright infringement, so I'm just not going to do that.
Hey, go Godzilla!
Yeah, bum, 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 bum.
I didn't even know it had a theme.
Yeah, that's in the old Japanese movies. Every time Godzilla appeared, you hear like bum, 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 bum.
But then Blue Oyster Cult did the song Go Go Godzilla.
Yes, they did.
True. I do like that song.
That became Blue Oyster Cult's pretty rad too. Anyway, this is Richard Gerlach with Staring into the Abyss. With me as always is Michael Patrick Hicks.
Hello.
And Matt Brandenburg.
Hey!
And our special guests today are Giant Lizard Nuclear Monster and Giant Ape with Godzilla vs. Kong. This fucking movie.
Seriously, man.
It was great.
Oh! All right. I see how it's going to be.
I'm going to say right now, I think I might have enjoyed this better if I saw it in theaters. But I saw it on X. I think it would have been a better theater experience personally.
Maybe.
But I'll save my opinions for this movie till we get into our spoiler talk. If you haven't seen this movie, you can watch it on HBO Max.
Although by the time this airs, it's probably off of HBO Max and heading to home video.
Or it's back on HBO Max because it's on home video.
Yeah,
Possibly.
You'll find it in your dollar bin at your grocery store.
No, that's Godzilla King of Monsters. This is the new one.
This one will be there really quickly.
Anyway.
Suck.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear why you like this movie.
I have very little reason to like it, and you'll find out why.
I'll say this. I wanted to like it going into it. I'll save a lot of my dislike for our discussion of the movie. I'll just say it delivered on monster fighting, and the monster fighting was awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
But everything besides the monster fighting, I could kind of give two shits about.
Seriously.
Hollow Earth was kind of cool, though. I will say that. If we get a Kong Hollow Earth movie, I'll watch that. That's just me, though. But before we get into a full deep dive in Godzilla, we like to give a weekly kind of recommendation of stuff that we watched this week. And I'm just going to go out and say it. Have you guys watched the new Falcon Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Holy fuck, guys.
They ended this last episode amazing.
Yeah, that was a perfect last scene.
It really was. And I knew he was gonna turn, but as soon as he took the spoiler serum alert, the serum, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they sort of, the one thing about this last episode that they kind of telegraphed that way too much. They should have put that kind of throughout the last 4 episodes instead of this episode. Every time we turned around, oh, he's a super soldier. Would you take the super soldier serum? Would you take it? Oh no, I'd never take it. It was okay, I get it. He's gonna take it. But I'm not complaining. I loved it. I just feel what I think we're feeling is that this is a shorter season than say WandaVision was. So
and
they kind of
episodes. Yeah.
They're longer episodes, but it felt like they had to pack in more of this, oh, this is what's going to happen.
I think episode 4 just aired, so there's only 2 left after this Friday.
I was reading something. So one thing I noticed in watching Falcon Winter Soldier is there's been some ADR where words are not matching characters' lips or things are being said off camera. Specifically, so I did some research, and they rewrote a major plot point in this show that they couldn't reshoot. Apparently, the Flag Smashers were trying to start a pandemic, or there's a pandemic going on, and the Flag Smashers are stealing vaccines to keep their people safe.
Wow.
And they had to rewrite the entire show due to COVID to like get that plot point out of the show, so it's not pushing as many buttons as it would if they didn't.
As they kind of already trying are.
So like they did what they could, but you can still see remnants of it here, where it's like in episode 4 or episode 3, when the people go to like the house, is like, don't worry, it's safe here, it's clean, and it's like, why would you say clean? Like, that's a weird thing to say there. And then turns out, in the show there was supposed to be a pandemic happening.
I'm calling it now on this podcast, so that way when this airs and then when the show is done, we can say it. I called it. Is that Sharon Carter is definitely the whatchamacallit, the guy, the what's the
broker, the power broker?
Power broker. Yeah, Sharon.
Yeah, no, she's the power broker.
She definitely is.
This show's is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I've been pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot, and I liked. I do, as much as I was complaining about Captain America asking about the super soldier serum every 5 minutes, I do like the subtle way they're showing how crazy he is. Just like the way he's looking off, or he's like his head's twitching and he's doing all these little things. I like that they're kind of showing him as not good. And then come on, Zemo singing Baba Black Sheep, super creepy.
The Turkish delight.
And a bag full of candy. Come on.
Zemo was a really welcome addition to this TV show. I enjoy. I enjoy him a lot.
I really, really liked seeing this Captain America get his ass kicked by the Dora Milaje.
Yes,
I loved his defeat where he's like, they aren't even super soldiers.
Yes.
Such a punk ass bitch, this guy.
Oh man, when they pick up his shield and it looks like they're gonna take it, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's such a punk. But the thing is too, it's like they even said like they did some shit in Afghanistan that we don't know what they did, but we know it wasn't good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like no one gets 3 Medal of Honors without getting a severe side case of PTSD.
Yeah, definitely.
And the serum is definitely enhancing his PTSD and his rage. And it's not going to be a pretty sight, as we saw with him smashing a guy's fucking face in with Captain America's shields.
The guy who was a fan of the original Captain America, no less.
Well, and I love the parallel because the name of the episode is The Whole World's Watching, and the fact, everyone's recording it, and the fact that if you look back to say Black Panther, that almost exact same scene is happening, and he does hold back, and I think that is, they did that on purpose. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see where it's going to go, but
I'm so much to pack in those next 2 hours. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing this guy get his ass handed to him next by Sam and Bucky.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we already know that Sam's going to get the shield back because it's in the trailers. So.
Yeah. It's like, when is that scene going to crop up? It's like, well, obviously now it's going to be episode 6. So.
Yeah. Because we have, all we have is Sam, and then the Sam's with the super soldier. Yeah. So, like, Sam and Bucky, they're going to do their thing.
Oh, yes.
I also like how Sam and Bucky are kind of warming up to each other as the show goes on.
Yes. It is nice to kind of start seeing them warm to each other.
I also got so mad when Sam was trying to talk to Carly, and like he's like, just let me talk. And then Captain America just walks in way too early and just fucks everything up. And I was like, he almost had her. Like,
yeah, exactly. He almost had her.
He was doing his thing, and you fucked it up.
He's playing that character really well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wyatt Russell's a great actor.
It's perfect because you totally love to hate him.
Yeah, but the poor guy now, he's going to be spit on every time he walks down Hollywood Lane,
Yeah.
I don't know. He was also an overlord. He was pretty awesome in that movie.
Yeah, but I don't think people are going to remember him for that one.
No, probably not.
I think they're going to remember him for this and this Black Mirror episode. That's about it. Did you see his Black Mirror episode with like the video VR game that they implant the like chip in the guy's head?
No, I haven't seen any of Black Mirror.
He's really good in that one. It's a season 3 episode. It's like a horror episode, and it's like a real life VR video game, and like it's crazy. Anyway, sidetrack. I still have a couple more of like books I'm currently reading, and I have one more non-genre movie recommendation. But Mike, what about you?
Well, I read Betty by Tiffany McDaniel, which is not a horror novel, but
I just started Betty.
It has plenty of horrific elements in it. Tiffany McDaniel, fucking amazing writer. And the prose that she lays down in here, I had it in hardcover, and I wished I had it in Kindle so I could highlight like all of the passages. So I'm not going to deface my lovely little hardcover. But she is just an amazing writer. And it's one of those books that I loved so much that I don't really know what to say about it or how to express how much I liked it and why. But it is about a family. It's a coming-of-age story of a young girl named Betty in the 60s and 70s. And her father is Cherokee. Her mother is a white woman. And it's about their family moving into this town in Ohio called Breath. It's an Appalachian, Ohio area. And Betty's skin amongst her siblings, she has I think there were 8 kids altogether, and she's the darkest one of them. So her and her dad get a lot of shit from all of the white people who know better about everything. So we're looking at the area where there's a lot of civil rights movements happening off page in the background, but there is a lot of racism, a lot of bullying that Betty is confronted with as she grows up in this town. Right after moving into this house, she tries to make friends with the neighbor girl, and the father busts out and tells his daughter to get away from her because she'll get all of these germs from the dark-skinned girl.
Jeez.
And that they've got to throw away the ball that they were playing catch with now.
Oh my God.
Because this dark girl has handled it. So there's a lot of that. The teachers that she has to contend with day to day as she goes to school are absolutely awful. The girl tells them that Betty stole something of hers, which Betty didn't. And the teacher doesn't believe her and calls her a liar and tells her that she needs to confess, and finally takes to bending her over the desk and paddling her backside to force a confession out of her that she stole this. And then after she is reduced to sobbing and aching, she says that she took it. And then the girl says, "Oh, never mind. I found it. It was in my desk."
Jeez.
So there's a lot of that. It's a really heartbreaking book. There's a lot of tragedy that this family goes through, and McDaniel makes you feel every fucking inch of it. She does not pull any punches. So even though this isn't a horror book, it is fairly horror adjacent in some of the stuff that they go through and have to contend with. But it's marvelously written. It's beautifully told. It's just a fantastic story. So that's my recommendation for the week. I loved it.
It is, what I've read of it so far is really powerful. I do like to dip my toes back into literary fiction because I was an English major, and it's nice to see some really harrowing, they're not pulling any punches. They're just hitting you with raw emotion. And it's nice to see stuff like that selling well.
Yeah, and the cover for it looks very prosaic, right? It's like a water painting kind of image of the mountains during a sunset. And it's much more peaceful than the words that are actually what's going on inside.
I'm enjoying it so far, too. So I'll let you know what I think when I finish it, though.
Yeah, I hope you like it.
Matt, what about you?
All right. Well, I read one of our previous guests, in fact, our last previous guest, Shane Hawk's Anoka. which is his collection of short stories. I think it's 6 stories in there, all kind of revolving around Anoka, Minnesota. But honestly, I don't think the town plays that big a role in it. I think he picks parts of it and plays it in there, but it's not like I didn't notice any of the characters kind of intertwining or anything like that. But that's beside the point. It's 6 stories. They're all really good. They all kind of deal with some different aspects. There is a doppelganger story, which actually was really creepy. It's dealing with father and his kid, and there's something growing underneath the kid's bed that turns out to be the kid as well. And then it's just a matter of him trying to figure out who's the right one and who's the evil one. And then he has this great, horrible, haunting, terrifying story about this writer who's been writing. Basically, he's been in the book or in the story, they kind of say it's stealing. He's stealing. He's an indigenous writer, and he's kind of stealing the tales of the indigenous people. And but he's got writer's block, so he's trying to figure this out. And he has this nightly dream when he does sleep, revolving around a giant spider that wraps him up and puts eggs into his mouth until they explode out of him. And it's absolutely terrifying because it's a spider. And he goes into great detail of what the spider does and what it looks like. And yeah, it totally messed me up when I was reading it. I was like, damn it, Shane, why'd you have to put a spider in this thing? But it's still a really good story. And then the last one I liked a lot because it kind of plays with the werewolf trope, in which in this story, well, I don't want to spoil it, but it plays with the werewolf tropes and makes the werewolf something other than what we expect of a werewolf. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a great collection. It's a really short one, and it's a really slim, at least paperback that I have of it. And it's nice, too, because in the back, he puts down a bit of story notes, which we always like story notes. So he kind of talks about the stories. And then before his foreword and everything like that is kind of just why he's doing what he's doing and why he wants to kind of exactly what he's talked about on our episode, just kind of bringing indigenous voices into the publishing world. So it's a great one. So definitely Anoka by Shane Hawk.
I have that too. I got to get to it soon. I actually had my first DNF in a while this last week.
Oh.
And that was a Weed Species by Jack Ketchum.
Oh, wow.
I could not stomach that book. It was too much for me.
Oh, man.
He outdid The Girl Next Door. I could say that. It put me in a really bad mental space.
Wow.
So just, if you're going to read Jack Ketchum, Weed Species is one of the most fucked up things you'll ever read, and it's going to fuck with you.
Wow.
So I needed some lightheartedness. I'm still working through Malignant Summer by Tim Meyer, which I talked about before. This is a big, thick book, and I'll have a review up when it's done, but I'm loving it so far. But because I needed just levity after that Jack Ketchum story, luckily for me, I got a mail day, and I received Jurassichrist by Michael Allen Rose.
Yes. Nice.
This is what I needed, because this book is fucking hilarious.
I'm so excited.
It is too funny, and it's really well written too. And I just love how committed to the bit that he is. Like, I'll read you some of it. So this is from the prologue, and this is Jesus is in prehistoric times, and he's trying to catch a pterodactyl for some food. So I quote, "I have bound thee, thou shalt not hunt me, for I am the predator and thou art the prey." JC leapt from the fern he had been perched in and grinned at his prize. But without hesitation, the creature continued on its flight path and took it off into the air once more. Oh no! The immense wings flapped, and JC felt like he was holding on to a tornado. He felt his feet being dragged through the sticky mud, and his shoulder muscles and arms strained trying to keep the creature from flying off. With a squawk of protest, the flying thing turned its pointy head and glared at JC with beady, mean little eyes. Now at the end of the rope, Now, at the end of the rope, it flew in a wobbly circle around JC as he desperately tried to wrangle the monster's weight and power. "Thou shalt not!" cried JC as he flexed his biceps and pulled into his arms into his chest, throwing his weight opposite the monster's flight path, but it did little good as he felt his sandal catch a rock and bend in the soft ground. JC stumbled, losing his sandal somewhere in the filthy muck, and fell to his knees awkwardly. The rope slipped through his hands as he desperately tried to get a grip. Rope burns flared up on either side of the holes through his palms, and he instinctively let go, cursing bitterly. If he hadn't been ready for things to go awry and felt particularly reflexive, he might have gained the advantage by tying the bowline knot through one of his palms. However, the last time he'd done that, he'd ended up starting a small rope fire due to the friction, so he was less than enthusiastic about repeating that scenario. With a triumphant car, the leathery flyer soared upwards, trailing JC's rope behind it like a mocking tail. JC could do nothing but watch as the creature blasted through the treetops, parting the canopy above, and disappeared into the sky with his only rope. The gun clicked into position and fired rounds into the sky as JC waved the massive weapon back and forth, screaming. Flocks of tiny lizard things exploded skyward, trying not to be struck down by a wave of hot metal shards. His temper was usually easy to keep under control. He had been a man of peace. Now he hated the idea that his name might be synonymous with war and destruction. But at his boiling point had been reached. He jerked his finger from the trigger and let the gun drop to his side, feeling tears of frustration run down his cheeks. This did not feel right. None of this felt right.
Amazing.
It is hilarious.
Oh, man.
There's a whole scene where, he calls God, and God pretends the service is dying and hangs up on him.
I love it.
It is, if you want a wild book, highly recommended. It's very entertaining. I've read one of Michael Allen Rose's horror books before, and that was really good. And this is a different side of Michael Allen Rose, but this side's very good as well. And then, you gonna say something, Matt?
Nope. That sounds amazing.
It is way too much, and I love it. I also picked up the newest volume of Blood on the Tracks by Shujo Oshimi, and I've been saying it on Twitter, and I'm still going to say it. This is one of the most effective horror stories I've read since Jack Ketchum.
Nice.
Just going to say it. I know no one's going to read it, but I'm still going to put it out there. It's fucking amazing. And I also started You Love Me by Caroline Kepenis. And all you need to know about You Love Me is Joe Goldberg's back. He's out of jail. His ex will not let him see his son. And now he's working in a library, and he has a new woman attracting him who's also his boss.
Oh.
And it is fucked up and hilarious and everything you want from a new Joe Goldberg story.
Awesome.
But that's really it for me. If you guys have anything else.
Nothing on my end.
I do. I have two things. One really quick. I started Antisocieties from Michael Cisco.
Ooh, I have an arc of that. I got to start.
It's super good. I got the little hardcover from Grimscribe, and I'm about halfway through. And I've read some of his stuff, in anthologies and everything like that. But this is my first collection of his, and I really like it. It's a quiet weird. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very dreamlike, and the weird isn't, it's just strange. There's a the first story is about this kid who every morning his parents make him drink a glass of milk, and then they're very really nervous about him and nervous around him. They're always watching him, and they don't want him to go anywhere outside of their view. And then so you're kind of seeing him do things and him kind of figuring things out. And then there's going to be a big Christmas party at his house. And so the house is kind of wild, and he notices a door in the kitchen. So he goes into it, sees just a table in this little room, and thinks nothing of it until that night he comes back down and he hears all these people in that room, and he hears a weird grunting and some weird wet noises, and then a glass of milk comes out of there. And then that's literally the end of the story. You have no idea what's in there, and that's just it. It's And all the stories so far I've read are kind of like that. They're just like these weird kind of normal things with one really strange thing happening. I'm digging it. I mean, he writes awesome. His prose is amazing. And, the stories definitely have like a weird edge to them. So that one's really fun. The other thing I read, and I don't know if anyone else has kind of read these. I think there's like 3 in this. It's like canon mystery or canon Vermont thing, and it's the one I read was The Silent Girls by Eric Rickstad. Have you guys heard of this?
I have not.
It's kind of old, and I mean not super old, like 2014, and I actually found it in the horror section at Barnes and Noble, so I was like, oh, cool. It is a detective story, kind of I would say kind of along the lines of the Isaiah Coolidge stuff, where it's very grounded in reality, but there's just something kind of haunting happening, say, behind the scenes. In this one, girls are going missing, and our main detective, Wrath, something or other, he's a former police officer, and now he kind of, like, it's never really clear if he's a PI or if he just sort of detects things. They, like, I guess the cops call him in every once in a while because he can ask questions and not follow cop rules, but they don't, like, I guess they kind of call him a PI. Anyway, doesn't matter. And so he's got to figure out what's going on with these girls. And eventually, after a very long time, we realized that they were all pregnant. And then it starts going into it's not Planned Parenthood, but it's sort of like a Planned Parenthood. And so it goes into it goes into there, and then it goes into these crazy religious fanatics who are the people that protest Planned Parenthood, as well as do some of the terrible things those protesters also do, i.e. killing doctors. And it kind of goes into that realm, but I don't know. It was good. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever read. It just, like, he adds a lot. I mean, it's a mystery story, so there's gonna be a lot of kind of red herrings and trails that you go into, and you kind of are like, oh, it's gonna be this. Like, he introduces this super highfalutin family, but then that really doesn't really run into anything, and then there's like this weird crack dealer guy. I don't know. It was okay. It's not my favorite thing I've read, but it was a fun mystery. So I don't know if I would recommend it to anybody.
All right, so we have a maybe. Check that book out from Matt.
Maybe. Apparently there's 2 more, but you don't have to read them in any kind of order, which is kind of interesting to think about, just because of what they reveal in this story. But hey, the bigger-ish story of this is that Barnes & Noble horror section has more than King and Kuntz.
Oh, yeah. No, my section, they have a bunch of Jeffrey Thomas books. They got some Bracken McLeod books.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, mine.
And fun fact, my local there's a Barnes & Noble I drive past on the way home from work every day, and it's in Bracken's hometown, so Bracken comes in and signs books occasionally.
Nice.
So you might find a Bracken McLeod signature if you go there, but yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah. So that's about it. I read a story that we're going to be talking about next week, and I won't go into those details.
Yeah, I suspect we'll have plenty to say next Sunday.
I think we're going to have to do a few apologies to our audience before next Sunday.
Probably.
I will say before I even, like, when I was talking to Wes about coming on the podcast, I was like, usually when the author picks a story, I go, okay, great. He picks this story. And my response was, let me see if it's okay with my co-hosts, and I'll get back to you.
I am interested in why he picked this story.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's going to have all the trigger warnings before that episode.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Obviously, it means a lot to him. It touched him in a special place in his heart.
I'll say this will be a slight spoiler for Mike as well as our audience for next week. Were you expecting the devil to come into play with that story, Matt?
No. Oh my God.
It's wild.
Yes. God. I don't even know.
That entire ending was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So out of left field that, like, wasn't even in the same ballpark as the rest of the story.
But you know what is a much more grounded story? Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh my god.
Did it. Bam.
Way to
yeah.
go. That was a good one.
It was a good one.
Give you a hearty King Kong roar.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Your segue game is really taking it up a notch.
I know. It's
Much better than it used to be. Would you say so? I think so.
I mean, it couldn't be much worse.
That's true. I don't. It was much worse.
Worse than this movie.
Yeah, actually, it was worse than this movie. I don't know. I will say, like, I think we should share our opinions. We were in it from the beginning. I thought it was meh. Mike loved it. I think Matt liked it less than I did.
Yeah, Matt does not seem to be on board with this movie at all.
So for one, I'm in the middle for once.
Matt is the giant naysayer. He's the big party pooper.
Usually I'm either the pro or the naysayer. I'm never in the middle. It's weird. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah,
this will be fun.
You're in the middle of a Mike and Matt sandwich, I guess.
That sounds kind of sweaty.
Oh, you have no idea.
So, Godzilla vs. Kong is a movie about Godzilla and King Kong getting into a fight.
It's another one of those titles that kind of tells you everything you need to know about it.
And yet they found some way to put in the most weird and stupid plot in between. Like, for a movie called Godzilla vs. Kong, you're not expecting an amazing plot, but somehow they found a way to make it even more stupid.
You mean the Hollow Earth stuff?
Not even all of that, just everything.
I like the Hollow Earth stuff. I thought that was kind of cool.
That was cool. No, I did like that. I'm talking about all the weird, stupid Apex crap that we definitely did not need.
Oh, the Monarch stuff?
Both.
Matt, were you well versed in Godzilla lore before this movie?
Well, have you seen all two movies before this movie?
I mean,
that's the question.
No, I'm talking about the original stuff.
Yes.
Oh.
No. So I will explain yes, I've seen all the old stuff. I watch them all the time, especially when, I used to watch when TNT, I don't know if you remember, they used to have a puppet. Do you remember the puppet on TNT?
I remember the puppet.
Yes.
Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. I have the Godzilla Criterion stuff, so just going to...
Yeah, so see,
I'm a huge Godzilla nerd. Just going to put that out there.
I get those movies didn't have much of a plot, and it was mostly the rubber monster fights. Yeah. But the problem is we somehow took those movies and found a way to put in the most stupid, overcomplicated story that the camera focuses more on than the title characters of a movie titled Godzilla vs. Kong. You could probably time it, and the character Godzilla and Kong. I guess Kong was on more. I mean, we can discuss the fact that
we had more Kong than Godzilla in this.
Yeah, it's like, why is this movie even Godzilla's the first name? Because it's not his story at all. It's all Kong's story. But they found some dumb way, and they did it for both of the other movies. And I think it's just the way we in America decide to make movies, which is this overcomplicated plot revolving around corporations trying to harness the power of this creature. And then you've got some weird, like, secret society not society, but, you got these hackers trying to...
Matt, we live in a society.
I don't want to live in that society. It's like, why do we have such a so much?
They sent a boy wonder instead of a man.
It's like I get they're trying so hard to do an MCU and even to a lesser extent DC universe with these movies, but I'm not there to watch these characters do corporate espionage and show the evils of a company called Apex. I'm there to watch Godzilla and Kong fight each other, and I don't need the camera to go to some secret underground base or to drive around and stuff.
But Matt, they had to show us why Godzilla's acting so crazy and unlike Godzilla, and that's because this Apex company is making Mechagodzilla.
God.
You needed to know that, Matt.
But did we need an hour of all of that?
I will say they could have cut like 20 minutes out of this movie and it would have been better.
These I don't know any of the names of the characters. They're all super paper. I was like,
I will say though, the dude who was the podcast host guy, the guy from Atlanta, the TV show Atlanta, and the new Child's Play movie, he's really funny in this.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
I liked him. I liked the poke. It was a little poking fun at podcasts. I dug that for sure. But like, what did he? He didn't offer anything. Like he didn't.
He offered levity.
I guess it's just like
the movie. Because I mean, my complaint, and this is the same complaint I had about Godzilla King of Monsters. And the first, like, the more recent American Godzilla movie.
Yeah, that was 2014?
Yeah. Is that it takes itself too seriously.
Yes. 100%.
And, like, I think you need... It's a movie about giant monsters fighting each other.
Yes.
I want to, one, probably not be sober. Two, have a giant tub of popcorn in my lap with extra butter, mixing some M&Ms inside that popcorn for some extra diabetes. And I just want to be entertained.
Seriously, I don't need to follow this stupid story. It's just like the characters, like the daughter of the CEO, she might as well have just said, "I'm a bad guy because I need to be a bad guy." And it's like, why else are you here except to just be like, "Shoot the monkey. We got what we came for. Let's go." And it's just like, oh, come on. Like they didn't, for as much human time as we got, which we got a lot of human time, they didn't develop any of the characters at all. And man, the King of the Monsters. So the first movie, I hate it. They like literally close the door on a Godzilla fight. I mean, like when you watch that movie, there is a scene where you see the monster Godzilla fighting some monster. You're like, sweet. And then they pull the camera back and shut the door on it. So I was like, okay, that's dumb. And then King of the Monsters.
That's been my major complaint, and I think that it has improved steadily over the course of this new series. The 2014 Godzilla, I absolutely fucking hated that. Every time it looked like we were going to get a cool monster fight, they would cut away to it and show instead humans running, and you would maybe see Godzilla's toenail in the background.
Yeah.
King of the Monsters at least had some improvement there. They were willing to show monster fights.
I will say King of the Monsters, I struggled with that. Like, okay, I was able to make it through Godzilla versus Kong. Should be Kong versus Godzilla, but King of Monsters, it took me 3 times to watch that movie. I fell asleep for the first 2 times.
Oh man, I was so frustrated in the movie theater. Like I couldn't sit still because of yes, Mike, you were right. They did better with more of the monster fight, but they still cut away too many times, which it's not.
But it was improvement.
It was, yes. There was a little bit more action and stuff, but it feels like, I don't know if it feels like they had a set budget and they were like, well, we can't do any more of this computer animation, so let's cut the people because that's cheaper. And you're like,
well, they probably did. I don't think they give them an infinite amount of money to make these things and just say, do what you want.
They should. Because, I mean, this movie, let's face it, this movie is at its best when Kong and Godzilla are fighting.
Yes.
And, like, there were some shots, like, what was it? They had, like, the cameras, even though it's all CG, but they have the cameras, like, super close to Kong as Kong's throwing his fist and the camera's moving with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's some cool camera work. And, like, there's some really good stuff in this movie I like a lot that's surrounded by a lot of stuff I don't like.
Yeah. I just, like, yes, I get budget, but we've seen computer animated movies, so we know movies can be all computer animated. So it's not like they're, I will say
felt
like they were cutting.
The CG was really nice.
Yes. I do wish I saw the movie in the theater just for some of that stuff, because that was really impressive. They did a really good job with all of that. But I mean, it just, I don't know. It felt like in this movie, it just felt like they like they wanted to put the monsters in, but maybe there was studio where like, well, we need more people because for some reason we need to and it's even the problem is like I get maybe showing the human component so we feel like, oh man, these people are in danger, but like when we get into Tokyo, you're not following any of the people that are down on the ground, so you don't.
You mean Hong Kong?
Hong Kong. Yeah, Hong Kong.
Matt,
I don't know why I kept.
Wait, wow, okay.
I think because I keep thinking
Culturally
of Godzilla.
insensitive piece of shit.
It might as well just be a blank town because they don't give us anything that's happening in the town. You know, you're not seeing like you see crowd scenes, but like it could have been anywhere. It didn't really matter where it was. I mean, again, just like the characters, we don't know the characters' names because it really didn't matter who they were. And that's the same for this. It was just been Madapur or whatever it is.
Is it just me, or did that New Zealand kid piss everyone off?
Yeah.
I fucking hate that shit so much.
Oh my God. I will say, and I feel like we might have talked about this in the past on our show, but I have like a weird face thing where I see people's faces and I see other faces. So like the little girl with Kong, that little girl looked exactly like Danielle Harris from Halloween 4 and 5.
What?
Did you not see that? I can't be the only one that thought that. I kept waiting for her to be like, she
was like 8.
Well, yeah, you know, in Halloween 4, she's only like 8 in that. And so
you don't think Danielle Harris has aged in the last 30 years?
No, I didn't think it was actually her. I just said it looked like her, like what she looked like in Halloween 4. I didn't think it was her. They just put her in a kid costume. You always look like a kid. No,
they shrunk her down in CGI. It was
right. That's where they put all their money. We can't put much more money into fights. We got to make Danielle Harris look like an 8-year-old. No, she looked like what Danielle Harris looked like in Halloween 4. I just kept seeing that and waiting for her to be like, Uncle, we're the same. Don't kill him. And then her, it wasn't her mom, which we can talk about in a second, but her like caregiver looked more like Millie Bobby Brown than the other whoever else was in there. I kept like those two should have been more related than the way they did it. I will say,
after seeing this movie, like Millie Bobby Brown is going to look so old in the next Stranger Things season compared to like season 3.
Oh man.
That's so funny. My wife had commented it was weird to see her driving a car. I'm like, yeah, she's not 11 anymore.
Right. Man, she was in this movie, like, they probably filmed all of her scenes in, like, half a day. It was like, why are you in this movie?
Oh, we got a lot of Alexander Skarsgård, though.
We did. Yes, we did. He did good. I
like him in Kong Skull Island.
Was he in Kong Skull Island?
I thought it was in Kong Skull Island.
I don't think so, because Skull Island was set back in the 60s.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It wasn't him.
Yeah, I was going to say. Out of all of these movies, I think Kong Skull Island is probably the best.
Yeah, I think it's because it takes itself at least seriously.
Yes, and we get a lot more of that Kong
action. You get a lot of Kong. And there's some really cool scenes in that movie, too, like the giant spiders when they impale the people down their throats.
Yes, that was a cool scene. But and I liked what they did with Kong in this. I think they did a really good job with him, and so that was fun. But yeah, I mean, like, why? Like, Godzilla was barely in this movie.
Was it just me, or did Kong's plot of the movie feel like a video game side quest?
Yes. Oh, totally. Like, exactly. It just felt like, I'm like, why?
I cannot defeat Godzilla. I must go to Hollow Earth and find a weapon that can help me defeat this beast.
Oh my God. I wanted a scene where I wanted like 5 minutes of him trying to put that axe into that hole. Like, I just wanted him like messing up every time and then trying to tell him how to do it. Because it's like, come on. It would be just so funny. Just to have,
I mean, I don't know. I thought the Hollow, like, for me, the movie was at its best when Kong and Godzilla were fighting.
Yes.
And I really like the Hollow Earth stuff.
Yes, I thought that was a fun touch, and man, like I liked when they flew into when they actually like got into Hollow Earth, and it was really trippy there for a minute. Though they totally skipped the trippy part when they get out of it. But that was fun, and then I do love the like weirdness of Kong like hitting those rocks that were kind of floating there, and he's just like, "Whoa, man, it's happening!" Like I wanted dialogue. Throughout watching the movie, I was giving them all dialogue.
I don't know. I would say like I'd give this movie a solid like 2.5 or 3 out of 5. I had fun with
Matt, you said yeah. You agree with that?
I mean, like it was a half-hearted yeah. I mean, it was all right. I feel like yeah. I don't know. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. So that's a plus. It wasn't longer than 2 hours, so that was a plus.
It wasn't a 4-hour director's cut of a shitty movie.
Right, exactly.
Like that turned into a great movie.
Exactly. The fact that like at the end of King of the Monsters, you get this cool like scene of like all the monsters that are out. So you know there's more. And then in this movie, they're like, oh, wait, no, never mind. None of those monsters exist. Or if they do, we're going to show you a quick snapshot of Godzilla eating them or beating them up. And then what we're going to bring in is these like no-name paper targets for Mechagodzilla to fight. It was like especially when they find the eggs and we were like, well, who are they? And it was just like, oh, right. They're just nameless baddies that are going to get killed.
When Mechagodzilla destroyed those monsters, that was a pretty cool scene.
Yes, that was cool. So,
or like when Godzilla's is going to Hollow Earth and he fights a monster and starts like eating it after he rips off its head and he's drinking its blood and shit.
Yeah,
and everyone's like,
awesome.
oh.
That was an awesome scene. I did like that.
Slurps out of its decapitated head.
So I was like, is he gonna do it? Yeah.
Yeah, Kong.
That was perfect.
Well, I will say that I didn't expect anything from the human side of the story. I went into this movie only wanting monster fights, and I walked away very happy with it. I had a lot of fun.
I will interrupt you there and say that's what I wanted from this movie too, and the monster fights were definitely the high point of the movie.
Yeah, I thought those were pretty glorious, from the fight on the battle carrier to the ending in Hong Kong and then Mechagodzilla. And I really liked that Mechagodzilla was related to King Ghidorah, that they were using his skull. So it had a nice bit of continuity from King of the Monsters.
And how Godzilla and King Kong had to team up together to defeat Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
I did want them to fist bump, and they did not, which was disappointing.
Now, my only real complaint with the human story is Ren Serizawa, who was supposed to be related to the Serizawa from the other two movies that were played by Ken Watanabe.
Wait, what?
And I really wish that we would have gotten more background as to what was motivating Ren Serizawa and why he was going with Apex instead of following in his father's footsteps with Monarch.
They were related?
Did Ken Watanabe, his character, pass away in King of Monsters?
Yeah, remember he set off the nuke to reinvigorate Godzilla in, I want to call it Atlantis.
I think I might have fallen asleep through that part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you basically saw the same scene in this, just with Kong instead of Godzilla.
So I would have liked some background as to whatever rift there was between father and son and why Ren Serizawa was so intent on, if he wanted to control Mechagodzilla to destroy Godzilla as revenge for his father's death, if that's what was motivating him, or if there was some deeper bad blood between them. I really wanted to get more out of his story, and they just never did anything with him outside of saying, oh yeah, the guy that controls him is Ren Serizawa. And you're like, oh wait, Serizawa? What, why is he doing this?
I did not pick up on that at all.
Yeah, I missed that too. So but.
They could have done a little bit better with that.
The other human stories, like, yeah, they didn't need to be there. They could have completely. Millie Bobby Brown's character, that group contributed absolutely nothing to the overall plot.
Yes.
Yeah.
They could have been completely stripped out of the narrative and you wouldn't miss a beat.
And the movie focuses too much on them.
Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't care about that as much as you guys did. I just wanted to get to the next scene of the monsters fighting. I wanted to see a giant ape and a giant lizard beat the shit out of each other, and they did. And then they spent like the last half hour of the movie doing that. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm happy.
I will say that the final fight was a really great part of the movie. It elevated the rest of the movie for me.
And it gave me what neither of the other two movies did in full. You know, there was a lot of self-censorship in Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
Whereas Godzilla versus Kong, they went all in. They're like, okay, you want to see the monster fights? We've been avoiding this shit for almost the last two movies.
Yeah.
Here it is in full, unfettered. You're going to get monster versus monster. They're going to bust up a whole fucking town. You're going to sit there and wonder what the death count must be, and we're not going to tell you. But they're going to devastate Hong Kong.
I also like one thing plot-wise I did like is the fact that the creation of Mechagodzilla is making Godzilla like go kind of insane.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because everyone's like, why is Godzilla doing all these things? He's supposed to be friendly to humans, and it's like his whole like mind is getting rewired due to this creation from King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
That like it's messing with his perception.
This enemy, this rival for King of the Monsters is being resurrected, and he is putting a stop to it.
Like I thought that was a good like plot point.
Yeah,
that was cool. I mean, I like that, and they did a good job setting that up. Just because with Kong by saying like, oh, well, he's going to sense Kong is around. And then that's when you start realizing, oh, he's sensing this thing that they had put the end scene from King of the Monsters or after credit scene in King of the Monsters. So you kind of like can see that thing tying together. So I did like that. And
yeah, I do wish they would have brought back that terrorist group for a bit more of a through line so we could see what their relationship with Apex was other than just being subtext.
Yeah.
I wish they would have brought that guy back. I forget his name, but the guy that was Elder Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Yes. That thing.
But the only criteria I really have in judging these movies are I want monster fights. Did it give me monster fights? And Godzilla 2014, I wanted monster fights, and every time a monster fight came up, you fucking cut away from it. So I don't care about that movie.
Yes.
King of the Monsters, I wanted you to actually show me monster fights unlike the predecessor, and they did that better. So I was pretty good with that movie, and I did like kind of the environmental messages behind it, that these Titans are the Earth's antibodies, basically. It's a defense mechanism against the damage that humans are causing to the planet. I thought that was a neat element. And then Kong versus Monster, it's like, or Kong versus Godzilla, whatever his name is, the big guy. You gave me the monster fights that I have been wanting for the last two movies, so I had fun with this. This was a win for me.
I mean, I totally vibe with everything you said, Mike.
I don't go into it thinking, oh, you know, the humans, they need to be doing like Shakespearean dramatists here. We really need
yes, they do.
A lot of empathy.
I don't even want the humans. I love.
Yeah, I would be just fine if it was just monsters beating the shit out of each other for 2 hours.
If you just gave me like Godzilla, like if you gave me this movie, okay, and you still had Kong's journey to Hollow Earth.
Close enough.
You had Kong's journey to Hollow Earth to get the axe to defeat Godzilla, and you cut out all the human stuff, and it was just Godzilla and King Kong seeds, no dialogue, just them roaring at each other and all this shit.
Yes.
This movie would be a 5 out of 5. Like,
oh yeah, completely thumbs up. I get that the human element detracts from it, but I'm not.
I would be 100% for that movie with no humans.
Yeah, I would be fine with that too, but I'm not, because ultimately this movie delivered what I wanted it to do. And now I would say if you have to put in these human people, for God's sakes, give me intelligent people.
Yes.
You have this whole team of scientists. Give us the scientists. You know, the background characters are the ones that are the most interesting in these. Like King of the Monsters, we should have been following Serizawa and
The entire time.
Yeah, and his team at Monarch instead of, oh, well, it's the family drama, blah, blah, blah. No,
I don't give a shit about that.
No, I want to see the monsters. But if you have to put in people, give me the smart people. Give me the people that know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. In this movie, we get this conspiracy theorist who is going to reveal all of his secrets to Millie Bobby Brown and gives her a thumb drive and tells her to look at this for all of the secrets, and she just literally visually looks at it.
Yeah, I know. You don't actually.
And she's like, okay, I get it. This is great. I know it all now. It's like, you didn't even plug it into a fucking computer. For all you know, it's this collection of tentacle porn. What do you know about this thumb drive? And it's like, that was good enough. But again, that's kind of like, you're presuming that there should be more intellectual capacity to this monster fighting movie than there really should be. Whereas it's just, I just want monsters fucking fighting.
I just feel the humans part detracts away from it too much for me, and it causes it to be a distraction. Then,
yeah, for me, it doesn't even become a distraction because I kind of mentally check out until the next monster fight.
Yeah.
I will say though, with the conspiracy theorist guy, he added a good amount of levity to the movie that I think helped the movie get benefited from.
The other thing is, it's funny because it's like, why did they even have to go to him? Like, she was listening and she was listening to his show and she was fully agreeing with everything he said. And they're like, well, we need to go find him. And then exactly what you said, it was just, they look at his thumb drive and they don't, and then they just like, well, let's just go into this place. And it's like, but why? And then the security.
As to why. Contractual obligations.
I mean, that had to have been it. They were like, well, and then of course, well, I guess at this point we've spoiled everything just about, right? I mean,
I think so, yeah.
I mean, like, at the end they were finally like, well, I guess we got to put all the characters together, so let's have one scene with all the characters. It's like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
because I mean, like, her father, I forget the guy that plays him.
Yeah,
but
guy.
He's in it for like 4 minutes. He was one of the central characters in King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's just background fluff. And
I mean, he does call himself Pop. And I was like, really? You're going to do that?
And in the opening credits, I saw Lance Reddick mentioned, who I absolutely loved in Fringe.
Love Lance Reddick.
He's great. And I kept waiting for him to show up in this movie. He has literally 3 seconds of screen time.
Yep.
Wait, who is in who? I haven't watched Fringe. What else is he in?
He was in The Wire.
I haven't seen The Wire.
Okay, then you're useless. I don't know.
Wait, how about in all right. In the movie, when was he in the movie? What part?
The Millie Bobby Brown's father is in Hong Kong trying to set up like the disaster relief tent.
Oh, okay.
And Lance Reddick is the black soldier that he talks to for like 2 or 3 seconds.
Okay, yes, that's a guy from John Wick.
Yes.
Oh, he might be. Okay.
He's in John Wick.
All right, that's what I thought. When I saw him, I was like, oh, it's a dude from John Wick. Sweet.
Yeah, but I mean, he got top billing. He's like mentioned right in the front credits as like 4th tier lead. And I'm waiting for him like, oh, he's going to be a great addition to this movie. Like, what's he going to do? And nothing. He does nothing. He just says, oh, wow, we're in Godzilla and Kong are fighting. Like, yeah, no fucking shit. Thanks. We got that.
He was his second movie credit is for the 1998 Godzilla movie.
Oh, that's awesome. He's like, coming back around.
Yeah. Thankfully,
he played unnamed soldier on a bridge.
I kept cracking up with the Apex company because they were like, just the introduction of them. They might as well have been Dr. Evil's company. I mean, like, they like have this whole like commercial for them, and at one point they're like, well, I'm trying to remember how they put it, but something basically saying like, well, we're gonna be evil and you'll be fine with it. And it was just like all this stuff that they were doing and the whole concept of what they were going to do. And like, they could have.
Matt, I'm gonna call you out here. So when we started this, you were complaining that they're putting in too much serious stuff And then when they don't deliver these characters in a serious manner, you're mad at them. So, like, which is it? Like, I don't watch these movies for seriousness. And they're like, they're not. This isn't a serious company.
This is serious business on serious Earth.
This is a Godzilla movie. You're supposed to be serious. This has to be dark. We need an origin story.
I think
Godzilla's parents are killed outside a cinema in 1920s city.
Yeah.
That is why Godzilla is destroying these cities, because of his parents' death.
I think if they're gonna have these things in there, then let's make it better. But honestly, yeah, we don't need them. I agree. I think if we're gonna have them, there was a good story in there with the human element and with that company. Like, they could have done something really cool, because I kept thinking about that.
They gave us Mecha Godzilla.
Right. But they could have.
And that was cool.
They could have played with that.
Godzilla was pretty cool.
Because honestly, with that, my first thought was, well, I had a couple thoughts. My first thought was, oh, okay, when Godzilla's not around, here is this Judge Dredd robot that's gonna put, martial law on whatever country it wants, because how are you going to stop it? Then I was like, well, if they had watched Pacific Rim, they would have realized they needed two people to control it, not just one. Third, I was like, they figured out how to stop it by pouring whiskey into a vent. It's like,
they short-circuited the
electronics.
That was the stupidest thing. Godzilla and Kong cannot defeat this thing, but they're like, well, maybe if we just fry a machine, it'll be all right. And it did.
When they fried the machine, it weakened it, and then Godzilla used his nuclear breath to power up the axe that King Kong slammed into the Mecha Godzilla and defeated it.
It was a stupid corner that they wrote themselves
the humans in. The humans and the Titans had to work together.
Yeah, they all teamed up. It was a movie about overcoming our differences and joining together.
Not at all.
This is like Hands Around the World.
It was them saying,
we are the world.
How do we stop this? We clearly just showed this kid cannot hack a computer. Oh, I'll see. Let's just unplug the computer and turn it back on.
Matt, I want you to take whatever drink you have by you and pour it over your computer. And then next week you can tell us what happened.
Yeah, because my computer's hooked up to the giant robot.
The thing is, in
Jurassic Park, they showed us how to do a computer reboot. Why didn't they do that in this?
There's a button that says push to play.
Instead, you're just like, whoops. What would happen if they had some stupid worker who had a cup of, pop and then he accidentally spilled it? Oh, crap. We just lost our multi-million dollar robot.
Also, I want to put a pause. Matt, have you ever seen Bosch?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you're useless then.
That's right. He is in that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a police chief.
Yeah.
That kid is?
No, Lance Reddick.
Lance Reddick.
Oh, okay, we're going back to that. The kid went from Deadpool 2 to Santa Claus 2 to
The kid was in Deadpool?
Yeah, he was in the second one.
Oh.
And he was in Christmas Chronicles 2 as well.
And he was in Hunt of the Wilder People or whatever it is.
He was good in Hunt of the Wilder People.
Yeah.
But his non-New Zealand roles are super fucking annoying.
Yeah. Anyway, as much as we're talking about there being fights, there honestly was only 3 fights in this stupid movie.
I think
the last one is like 20 minutes long, so it doesn't.
Well, counting that one as 2.
You could have made this movie like an hour long and cut out all the human stuff, and I think it would have been a better movie.
One thing that I liked was King Kong's references to other big action movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
Like when he is on the helicarrier or whatever it's called, the Navy ship, and he leaps off of it just as it's exploding. It's filmed like John McClane leaping off Nakatomi Tower when the roof is blowing. There were a couple moments where Kong was for sure channeling Danny Glover with his I'm too old for this shit.
Yes. When he does his arm, just
that's right. Yeah, he does do a Riggs, doesn't he? With
he does
his separated arm back in the joint.
I will say too, despite how much, I mean, I think I like this movie more than Matt did, but despite even all my shitting on this movie,
I think everybody liked this movie more.
despite all the shitting I did in this movie, I'm happy that Adam Wingard has like gone from like horror underground cult hit with You're Next to Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
Like what a career trajectory. I just gotta applaud him for that. Not even being sarcastic. I think it's really cool that he went from like You're Next to Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah. And I really like You're Next. So I thought this was a great step up for him. And I hope that he does a Hollow Earth King Kong movie because I need to see that.
I mean, well, it ends with King Kong in Hollow Earth again, kind of.
Yeah.
Monarch's now in Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
And they're monitoring King Kong down there. Like, I'm excited to see.
I mean, there's all kinds of new life they could find down there and new threats that they could create.
Unfortunately, they didn't give us an after credit scene like the other ones. So
No. Because I guess contractually this is the last of the Monsterverse movies until they decide they're going to make another one.
Yeah. So
I will say for COVID, this movie actually did pretty good in the box office.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's made like $70 million.
More.
It a box office smash.
Yeah.
It's so the movie was let me go back.
Well, while you're looking that up, talking about Adam Wingard, I mean, like, I do applaud them for bringing him in, and then even with King of the Monsters, I mean, it was Michael Dougherty who did that one, who did Trick or Treat and Krampus. So like, I do like that they're pulling these horror directors. I feel like they are a little bit more handicapped.
Okay.
But, yeah. So
anyway. The budget for this movie was between $155 and $200 million. And so far, its box office return has been $357.8 million.
That's global?
Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
So, I mean, for COVID being a worldwide thing and movies struggling, that's a really good global return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Warner Brothers will probably be like, well, it didn't make $1 billion, so it's a failure.
Mike, here's the thing. It's Hollywood. No movie ever makes a profit in Hollywood.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think they'll see this and they'll do something else for sure.
I mean, I'd be happy if they kind of let it rest. If they do more, I do want to see Kong in Hollow Earth. I think that'll be a fun movie.
I'm just bummed overall that we never got more Kong films than we did.
Yeah.
We really only got Skull Island and this movie.
Yeah. And Skull Island was really good.
Yeah. I am also really surprised at just how much Godzilla got his ass handed to him in this flick. Cause
yeah, you know, one thing I did notice too was I feel like they were prepping for like a Universal Studios ride with this one.
Oh yeah, that Hollow Earth journey was very much a Universal ride.
Yep. Or when they were coming out and they're like going around and they're like going next to Kong and they're going next to Godzilla. I was like, oh, this is like set for a ride.
Oh yeah. It's theme park ready for sure.
So yeah, that was kind of fun. But this movie
should I'm gonna propose you guys can say yes or you guys can say no. Would you want to do this again for Mortal Kombat?
I'm down with that.
That does look like fun.
All right, Mortal Kombat. We're going to cover that in the future too. We've only done one movie so far, and that was Better Watch Out.
Yes, this is true.
One of our least downloaded episodes, I think.
Not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised.
Releasing it on Christmas probably didn't help.
Fair.
But I think it would be fun. Mortal Kombat will be a fun watch.
Yeah. That one's going to be cool.
That looks like a lot of fun. And it looks like it'll be a little bit more in keeping with our horror overtones.
Yeah, Godzilla versus Kong wasn't too horrific.
No, but Mortal Kombat, I mean, it looks like we get Sub-Zero making a fucking knife out of blood.
Yeah, it's going to be dope.
And I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be
But I will say, like, this movie was fun. Despite my shitting on it, I still had a fun time with it, and I thought the final battle was worth all the human bullshit I had to deal with in this movie.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I think it's always kind of a weak point when you have kids in these movies to begin with. Like,
Definitely.
Jurassic Park is great, except for the two kids.
Yes.
Like, every single Jurassic Park movie is good except for the kids. You know?
Sam Jackson should be the lead character in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, especially Jurassic World. That just felt so stupid of having these kids in
Was
there.
the second Jurassic World worth watching? I never saw it.
I didn't see that either.
It wasn't memorable. I saw it, but I don't remember anything about it.
Okay, sweet. So I could skip it then.
Pretty much, yeah. You'll get enough whenever they release the next one. It'll be pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Right. It just felt so cheap. They're like, oh, our parents are getting a divorce. I hate you. And, oh, I'm the mean kid, the mean older brother. Oh, I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, they very much stick to types. You know, here's the smart kid, here's the dumb kid, here's the fat kid, here's the hacker.
Yeah.
Now we're going to play to type, but they're only here to try and play with your emotions. But they're such pedantic little shits that you don't care. Like the dinosaurs eat them or not.
Right. And I mean, I guess like for those ones, the kids are what gets us into the trouble. At least with Jurassic World, it's like, I mean, obviously the dinosaurs are escaping, but then you have, they got to go find the kids, and that takes the story. In this one, you're like, okay, there's these kids and they're doing stuff, but they're not in danger. I mean, I guess they kind of get arrested, but even that, oh my God, that was so stupid. Why would you take your prisoners to the CEO of a company?
So that he can deliver the master plan and monologue to them.
Like the CEO is not that busy where he's like, oh, it's cool. If you catch some intruder, bring him to me. I got nothing better to do.
Well, I mean, seriously, though, you think Bezos really has a lot of keeping him occupied? Fucking around on his yacht all day.
I do want to do one quick thing before we wrap this up, though.
He's probably not even on the work site to begin with. I mean,
right? He's like, I want every complaint email sent.
Yeah, no, he's fucking around on his yacht. You guys deal with it. I'm going to go look, I just made $3 billion giving you this little spiel. Go away. I don't care.
This is going to be kind of a gear shift, but did you guys see the newest episode of Invincible?
Not yet. No, I still need to watch episode 3 and whatever came next.
Dude. It's probably one of the best genre TV shows happening right now.
It's fun. I saw the first 2 and liked it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how gory it is. This is very much.
It gets more gory.
And I do love that. They're like, especially at the end of the first one, where it's kind of been like a somewhat normal superhero telling story, and then at the end it's just like gore fest. And then in the second one, when you see just like civilians and they just turn into piles of blood, I was like, yes.
It gets more gory.
Awesome. I'm down for this.
Yeah, it gets better too. Like, I've been reading the comic, and it's interesting to see what they're changing, what they're keeping the same. But the last episode, like, I talk to Daniel Barnett every week about this show, and we're both loving it. I will say, Godzilla vs. Kong. It's on. By the time this goes live, it's not going to be on HBO Max anymore. But I'm sure if you wanted to see it, you would have watched it. If not, I'd say it's worth a stream.
Yeah,
I'd say it's worth a stream.
I'll be getting the 4K disc, hopefully in Steelbook, as soon as it comes out.
If you're curious and you want to see some monsters slug it out, go for it.
Yeah,
you'll have a fun. It'll deliver what you want to deliver.
And the nice thing is you can do your laundry, you can get up and go to the bathroom, and you're not going to miss anything. So
yeah, just wait for the monsters to fight each other again.
Yeah.
Next week, we kind of teased it, but Wesley Southard is going to be on the podcast, and we are going to discuss The Pig by Edward Lee.
Oh, man. I apologize.
And
it's kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Babe. It's sort of like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's nothing like Babe. It's nothing like Babe.
Protecting us from people going, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's Edward Lee's version of Baramu.
Oh, God.
Oh, God damn it. Yeah, the Pig is a book. You can read it in the book of the house. Don't blame us if you get offended by it.
God, yeah, no.
It's all the trigger warnings right now.
Yeah, definitely there are no punches held.
Yeah, it's a very fucked up book. But I think it'll be a fun discussion.
It'll be an interesting one.
I'll never forget the first time I read that book, and I was like, "Wow, all right, I'm in it." Page 1.
Yep.
That punchline at the end. Ooh. I will say that is a good punchline.
Yes.
But yeah, it's gonna be something.
Yes, it is.
Yes, that is appropriate phrasing. I would say it will be something.
I mean, like, wait, what was it? What was it? The Freak Show that we did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If you didn't like that, you're definitely not gonna like this.
I have a question, Matt. Did you like this better than the Freak Show?
Yes, because
okay, yeah.
And the reason why, well, and this I guess will be spoiler for next week, but the reason why is the character development. The character is better in this than
you have to admit you do kind of feel bad for the main character.
Oh yeah.
All he wanted to do is make a student film.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Yeah.
All he wanted to do is make a student film. So he borrowed some money from some mafiosos, and they made him record bestiality porn.
Oh God! Don't teach. Let's save that.
As you do.
Oh man.
That's just to get people prepped for next week because we're going in it.
Yeah. Every bad thing that can happen to this poor character happens.
Well, that is I'm going to start reading this today. This is my afternoon reading material.
Oh man.
I'm excited for your reactions, Mike.
I'm sure you are.
They're going to be something.
Hey, I honestly, I read this book like 4 years ago, and I read it because Brian Keene talked about it on the Horror Show with Brian Keene, and I was curious about extreme horror at that point. And I had read Header, so I was like, well, if Header's not like supposedly like the best classic Ed Lee book, and Brian Keene keeps talking about the pig, why don't I check this out? Oh, okay. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, that was my reactions while I was reading the book.
Yeah,
it doesn't go where you expect it to go. But I will say Lee is a very good writer, and he's funny and he's disgusting. And I'm looking forward to discussing this story and see how this conversation goes.
Oh man.
But before we go, we want to remind you, make sure that you subscribe, review, share our podcast around so we can spread the abyss all over the world. And make sure you get in touch with us. And Matt, where can listeners get in touch with you?
I am on Twitter at Brandenburg DM.
And Mike, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at MikeH5856 or put in my name, Michael Patrick Hicks, on Amazon.com and buy some books, please.
Hey-o.
Especially Friday Night Massacre.
Friday Night Massacre is the newest one. It's probably already available by now. The Far From Home anthology from Off Limits Press featuring my new story, A Song of the Earth.
Ooh, you can follow me at Rudy53088. And if you look up Richard Gerlach on Amazon, by the time this episode airs, my debut story should be searchable. It'll be in the Dark Words anthology, edited by Matt Wilderson.
All right. Woo. Dandelion himself.
Yes.
Indeed. And his publishing company is called Dandelion Publishing.
Appropriately enough.
And you can follow
congratulations, man. I'm proud of you. That's great.
Thanks. It's been a lot of work. I've been working hard, so it's nice to see it finally pay off.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really hope people like my story. It's kind of weird. But I'm sure you expect no less from it coming from me.
Yeah.
And you can follow the podcast at Into Staring. I would really like it if you're a super devout Christian person who thinks horror is evil, that you follow us and let us quote tweet you as many times as possible.
Before they
don't block us. Don't block us. Just follow us. Embrace the abyss.
Especially after next week's episode.
Yeah. And this is Richard Gerlach saying keep staring.
The Unsupervised Podcast. Who likes a good old spanking?
I felt it. You need to move
move your lips more.
Your weekly distraction from all of the stress.
You gotta shoot your shot.
I guarantee you these are all white children.
What are you sniffing a panda ass for?
I would smell it. They're so cute.
We're kind of like the Seinfeld of podcast. Not really about anything, but we're going to make you laugh and hopefully entertain you for a little while.
It's called like a chicken McGangbang. It's like a...
Whoa.
I get tranquilized, but I'm still moving.
It's like a freaking circus. I love it. Thursdays exclusively on Project Entertainment Network.
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.